Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 32 of the Fan Experience Podcast. I am your host, Mike Katos. Alongside me is my co-host, Rick Molina. Rick, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good, Mike. Doing good, man. We got a big show tonight. Real excited to get to it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we've teased on all of our promos, we have two guests tonight. Double feature, first one ever.
Double header.
First up, we're going to have Barry Golombek, account director over at Sports Data IO, one of the biggest, sports data providers for, things such as, those daily fantasy and fantasy websites. And after that, he will be followed by former MLB star Scott Hairston. Had his career with Diamondbacks, Padres, Mets, Cubs, Nationals, and a short stint with the A's as well. Yep. So he will be joining us at around 9:30. So we signed on a little bit early just so we can, get through our, ad reads and go through a little housekeeping things. So right now we're going to start off just with a word from our sponsor.
Friends at Manscaped. Go ahead.
Support for the Fan Experience is brought to you by Manscaped. Manscaped is the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels.
Oh, yeah, man. It's one of those times of the year where it's getting colder, man. You're getting lazy about trimming. Next thing you know, you look down there and you're like, you got a bush. You're like, oh, my God. You start hacking away, man. And you're like, man, this thing doesn't want to go. And that's when you grab the Manscaped. And next thing you know, it's like a newborn baby down there.
Yeah, and not for nothing, guys and girls out there.
Yeah.
We said, best in below the waist, but you know what? It's really best in anything below the neck, to be honest with you. You're somebody that, shaves their chest and, underarms, works perfectly for that. And, ladies, talking to you too, because the holidays are coming up. So, let your boyfriend or your husband's balls thank him. All right. Make his testes their besties. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. And the coolest thing about this is the waterproof technology that they have out there. And when I tell you it's premium, I mean premium. The battery lasts up to 90 minutes, so you can take longer to shave in the shower. You're taking that nice warm shower and you just want to take your time. You go there and you trim right away, and the batteries and the shaver that we have here in this nice little carry-on bag, along with the Manscaped ball deodorant, can never let you down over here. So, and then let's not forget the charging stand too that it comes with it. Show off your mower loud and proud because the intelligently designed stand is convenient for charging docks powered by USBs.
Yeah, absolutely. And they hook you up with a nice pair of boxers as well. Mm-hmm. They also have, weed whackers, nose and ear trimmers for sale. And right now, if you go on manscaped.com and use promo code FANEXPERIENCE, you get 20% off of anything that you order on the website, plus free shipping. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the code FANEXPERIENCE at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you.
Indeed, they will.
Thank you very much again, Manscaped, for the support of the Fan Experience podcast.
Thank you, Manscaped.
All right. Now, joining us is Barry ready backstage. Thumbs up if you're ready. All right. Okay. Now, joining us is Barry Golombek, account director over at Sports Data IO and Fantasy Data.
Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Barry, how are you?
On, man.
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. That was awesome promo there as a guy who only doesn't have hair up here. Everywhere else in my body, not so much. So it was good to hear. I'll look into it.
Yeah. All right, perfect. 20% off and free shipping.
Fan Experience.
Just slide the wife or the girlfriend or whatever. You just be like, Christmas is coming up, so let's go.
Yeah. I apologize for the background.
No, that's awesome.
I've got work being done on my house, and my children have destroyed my basement. So it's tough times, Well, thankfully they're back in school, but yeah, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, I got kids too, so I know that's why I put the banner up.
That's a good idea.
You can't see the train wreck that's going on behind it. Yeah. So I planned that accordingly. I got the banner before we even started the podcast. So yeah, I could completely understand. So again, thank you for joining us. So we're gonna start it off pretty much, how we always started off. Why do you love sports? Where did your love for sports come from? I know you're a Philly guy, but what team did you end up rooting for first? Why did you fall in love with that team? Was it geographical, or was there some kind of like fan experience that you witnessed and it really got you hooked?
Sure. So, it's funny. I was kind of like a dorky kid, honestly, fat kid that cried a lot, right, when I was in elementary school. So I wasn't a popular kid. And so I would go like against the grain in certain things. So growing up in Philly, pretty much everybody is, a Phillies fan, a Birds fan, Eagles fan, Flyers fan. And for me, I looked to like pop culture. So I was a Bears fan because of SNL, the Bears at first. And this is like before I was 10, 11 years old and realized that I just had to go full Philly for everything. But I was an Indians fan because of Major League, and that worked out because you had like Jim, the Lofton, Albert Bell teams, Carlos Baerga, that team that was, sick in the mid 90s. So that's how I got into it. But then, I always knew and always had a love for the Phillies, the Birds. My grandfather, was an immigrant to this country. My dad was an immigrant to this country, and I still remember watching baseball, in his Northeast Philly row home. And just watching him scream with his thick Polish accent at the TV and really being into it. So, it's hard not to in this area to care about it. I think I care a little too much sometimes. And but that's what the joy of loving sports.
Yeah. So you have here, we asked you, tell us a little bit about the ups and downs of rooting for your teams. You said, I'm from Philly.
Yeah.
So explain what you meant by that.
No, I mean, up until, I was born in 81, right? And the Sixers won, I think, in 83. And then it was my entire youth. You're when you're in Philly, you compare yourself to Boston, to New York, and these, Boston didn't necessarily have all the success they had in the 2000s, but they were winning championships. And, one of my earliest memories is crying when they fired Buddy Ryan. Is being so pissed when they traded Charles Barkley. Even I think I was like 9 years old, knew that Hornacek and I forget who else they got back was not worth it. And just knowing that you were like doomed to always have the worst possible outcome. So it was tough. And when the Phils won the World Series, that was the first championship in my lifetime, that I was even cognizant for. And I was actually a season ticket holder at the time. I had moved to California, kept my season tickets, and was lucky enough to be at the first half. If you remember, that game was cut in half. So this is like the joy and agony of being a Phillies fan. I was at the first 5.5 innings of that game. I had to fly to St. Louis at 6 a.m. the next morning for work. I stayed at Citizens Bank Park till 1 a.m., got up at 4:30 and got on my flight and was flying back into Philly when they won the World Series. I was crying. I'm 27 years old. It's the first time they've won a championship in my lifetime. I was living downtown at the time, and I legitimately parked my car. I lived by the art museum, if you know Philly, and and I was actually in worse shape then. I was still a smoker and all this stuff. Ran in my suit and tie because that's what I had to wear for work at the time. To City Hall, people were handing me, beers. People were handing me other stuff, and I was just like, waiting for my buddies who were at the game to get on the subway and come back up. So it's tough. We always get the wrong brother. We always have the process. There's a lot of bad things about being in Philly, but when you reach the highs, they're pretty high.
Yeah. Barry, this is Rick over here. Thanks for coming on tonight. When I think of Philadelphia, I think about some great players, like Charles Barkley, Dr. J. You think about Mike Schmidt that played out there. You think about the great Kobe Bryant. I mean, Joe Frazier was from Philly. Which is your favorite sports, player of Philly that you look up to that is one that you just revere?
Sure. So first off, my wife babysat Joe Frazier's kids.
Wow.
Who grew up in Cheltenham. So the fact that you mentioned it, I don't know if she's listening to me, but that was exciting. But it has to be Iverson. I mean, I just love Yeah, Bubba Chuck, you can't beat Iverson. That, if you remember the SI cover of him where he's holding the bouquet of roses and he's holding it upside down, that was just one of the most iconic shots I've ever seen in my life. Everything about the way he played. I mean, he was, it's so cliche to say, oh, Philly likes the hard-nosed guy. But he put it all out there every single game. He was so funny. You hear these stories about him at the TGI Fridays on City Line Ave, just, tipping thousands of dollars and getting smashed on Long Island iced teas. You couldn't beat him. And he did. He cared so much. And that was like right at my, true kind of indoctrination or baptism, whatever you want to call it, into Philly sports, because that's when I was like 15 years old, 16 years old is when they got. And that's when you like really understand the game, start to understand the nuances, know what it is that you're seeing, can be analytical. And he was amazing. I wish they hadn't drafted what the guy, not Kittles, the guy out of Nova. I can't remember his name right now. They should have taken McGrady, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, and that's incredible. Yeah, Allen Iverson, dude, talking about practice. I mean, some of the most memorable lines, him and Larry Brown over there, got some great teams. But you talked about also, the fact that you were almost crying when you won the World Series. What were your emotions like when they won the Super Bowl against the vaunted Patriots? I mean, what were those emotions like?
So that was when they went to the Super Bowl in 2004. I was downtown, right? I was at Temple University at the time. Yeah. My buddies were in med school at Jefferson, and they lived right in Center City. And they lost, and it was one of the most brutal experiences ever, right? Like the McNabb's thrown up on the field, and that stays with you. Like in Philly, I will rewatch that Super Bowl and expect them to lose. I'll expect the Philly special not to happen. And so it was, to watch them win that game. So the point of me telling you that I was downtown when they lost, I had a buddy that lived in North Philly, and he was like, let's watch the game. We all got to get together. A good friend of ours that we went to high school with. I grew up in the Philly area, up in Bucks County. It came down from Connecticut. We have a friend who's Serbian who married a friend of ours from high school who he's adopted the Eagles. So we're all together. Our text chain is Fly Eagles Fly. And we're all together. And the one problem, my buddy's TV was like 25 inches. He invited us all down to his apartment in North Philly. Not true North Philly, but the art museum area. And watching them, my kids were with me. I kicked my wife out. My kids went to our house in the burbs because we live about a half hour outside the city, left at halftime. But if you remember when Jalen Mills got called for that pass interference penalty, there was this terrible call. I know you guys are a New York fan, so I don't know if you memorized it like I have. Yeah. But I had at the time, my 2.5-year-old son on my lap, and I jumped up and I was like, I don't know if I can hurt here. I was like, that's,
you can speak freely here, man. It's okay.
All right, so I was like, that's bullshit! Like, screamed. And my friends, everyone had their little kids with us. We're all in our mid-30s at the time. And like, everyone freaked out. And I felt terrible. I'd had a little bit to drink. I was into the game. Yeah. And to this day, I'm so proud of it, though, because my son, who's now 6, he's like, oh, yeah, that time that you screamed. I mean, here's a kid, 2.5 years old, has a core memory of the Super Bowl because he remembers me screaming at the TV. He's like, oh, yeah, that's when you made me cry. So it was, it made me cry. It was to watch them win, to go, I walked downtown, I walked around, you're there out till 4 a.m. I wasn't climbing any poles or anything. They greased them up, and I don't have the upper body strength for it anyway. But it was the greatest feeling in the world. I mean, it was, in some ways I joke, but it's true. It's like when you have a kid, there's no better feeling, right? But then you're like, oh God, I got to take care of them. I got to worry about them. It was pure gravy winning the Super Bowl, right? There was like nothing. There was no downside about it, because especially as an Eagles fan, all you hear, I got a bunch of Giants fans. I got a bunch of Pats fans. Oh, no rings. Talk to me when you finally get a ring. So it was legitimately the best feeling in the world. I mean, there was like nothing like it. I can't hear Dreams and Nightmares by Meek Mill without getting just really fired up. And I'm a 39-year-old dude that knows every single word to that song, which is, not the demographic for that song.
Yeah. Barry, happy belated, by the way.
Oh, happy belated birthday. Oh, yeah.
Birthday was what, Tuesday, right?
Yeah, election day. Well,
it's still going on.
the beginning of election month.
Election week, yeah.
But yeah, happy belated again. And so you said here in your background, that your wife is also a sports fan, and before you dated other sports fans, and it's not the same. talk to us about, dating, a non-sports fan versus a sports fan.
I mean, just the fact that, she has her own rooting interest. She went to Pitt. I mentioned I went to Temple. When you're from Philly, you don't do anything Pittsburgh. You just it is as much of like a New York thing. And so she's always like, go Pitt. And, she knows her stuff and she's passionate about it. But at the same time, she'll tell you, I was like the first guy that she dated who was like a sports nut. And she said, it's nice. Like she likes it and she cares about it. But like, she knows whenever the Eagles are playing on Sunday, right? That is the 3 hours that I need in a week to sit. My kids can watch, she can watch. But like, I don't want to be answering the phone. I don't want to do anything. I just want those 3 hours. The rest of the week, I'm everything that you need me to be for those 3 hours of mine. And she gets that too, which is nice, right? There's no like, sports are dumb. It's like, no, this is a huge facet of, who he is and what he cares about. And she thinks it's cute, which obviously helps. And that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about. Just that they understand what it's all about, and not try to question it. And that's exactly why I decided to make Playing the Field. That's really what I wanted, the main purpose of it to be. And I know I've talked to you about Playing the Field a while. We talked a few months ago, as far as the data, but we'll get into that right now. Actually, let's talk about sports data, IO, fantasy data. What do you guys do there? What do you provide? And talk to us about what you yourself do over there.
Sure. So, we live in the age of big data, right? You hear it when you think of programmatic marketing. You hear it when you think about, we're watching with the election right now, exit polling in general, any piece, scintilla of data that you can get. There's a data scientist, a data modeler out there that's, going to plug this into an algorithm, a machine learning model, and get something out of it. So, I'm very lucky. I really do. This company, I've been here almost 2 years, found me and, got an email from a recruiter. Hey, do you want to work in fantasy sports and sports betting? And it was like, yes, I do. So it's, but it's also the application of it, right? The real-time data that we provide, the real-time odds that we provide, the pregame odds. You just saw 3 more states vote to legalize sports gambling. Yep. So now half the country has legalized sports gambling. If you look at stocks, if you look at what Penn and what DraftKings are doing, this is a growing market.
I own them.
Yeah, nice. I got DraftKings at like 26. I wish I had bought it at the IPO, but I got it.
I think I got it around 26 as well.
Nice, mazel tov. So we provide, more to the point though, we are a raw data provider. So we provide real-time stats, real-time odds. We provide imagery, content, anything that you would need to build out a sports betting application, a fantasy sports application, a sports analysis application, and we have media platforms all available from us. We cover the major North American events. We cover major international soccer events. We're expanding our coverage, but right now it's also very much focused on like building out our odds offering, because odds are just such a big thing. And as these books come online, we're one of the few people that can give you in-play lines, which is always fun, right? You take the Eagles -3 against the Giants and realize that they come out terrible, and it's like, okay, maybe I'll take the Giants +2.5 now, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So it's great, and it's nice. We're a very lean company, and we focus really hard on just like easy to use, easily digestible data, and it's something that people want, which is always a wonderful thing. So, and I work in sales, and being in sales for them, when someone wants what you're selling as opposed to convincing them why they need it, it's always a good thing.
Yeah, I know the feeling about trying to convince people. Yes, that's it every day. But Barry, let me ask you this. We do live in a world of data. Like everybody wants data. Everybody wants like, even you can tell in these elections, everybody wants up to the minute data. Let me ask you this: how accurate is it? And when people get this stuff, I mean, how close are you coming to sort of like accuracy in that data when you talk about that?
Oh yeah, no, we're like 99.999% accurate. Every now and then we will fat finger something. Accidents will happen.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of real time operators that use us as well. So like Sleeper, the Sleeper app, if you know that, is one of our clients. And I always joke with people because I get asked when I'm doing my sales thing, hey, how accurate are you? And the good news is when we push something out that's wrong, if we give somebody a tackle that didn't get a tackle, we get 5 emails about it within 2 minutes, right? Because there's some guy sitting there staring at his phone that's like, no, I shouldn't be down. I shouldn't. I need to. And they email Sleeper or they email whoever their operator is, and they email us and say, hey, you guys did something wrong. And so we hear about it so quickly. I always joke we have this like user source, this community of people that are there ensuring that the data is correct. And we also have a data center that we're building out in Phoenix where we've got multiple QA processes. So it really is something that we take really great pride in getting it right the first time. And I do want to mention, I was talking about Sports Data.io. I'm a walking billboard here. But we also have Fantasy Data, and Fantasy Data is actually our consumer site. So that's more like your traditional, Fantasy Pros, I guess, style site where we're giving you analysis, it's top streaming picks. We've got an optimizer that's been killing it. Really killed it for golf. My neighbor used us for golf, and he was telling me how we kept on winning him money. He was like, you'd have a weird name on your optimizer, and I'd bet it. Good. So, but awesome. We've got a team of data scientists doing that stuff as well. We have our own in-house projections, which we also sell from a commercial standpoint. So it's it's a lot of stuff, and it's nice. It's all focused on one space, but there's a lot you can do in that one space.
That's incredible.
How do you find that? I'll put it up on the screen.
FantasyData.com and SportsData.io.
Yeah, I did not realize that there were scientists and people that deep into the granular of the data and the analytics as part of fantasy. For somebody like me and Mike, I don't know about Mike, but for me, when I was doing a fantasy team, I just, all right, this guy's playing well, it's not playing well, pick. But now I didn't realize it was that granular that you get that deep in the data to get the best lineups out there.
Oh yeah. So that's exactly what we're used for, right? So our projections are dynamic projections. We'll take into account Melvin Gordon gets hurt, so Philip Lindsay is going to get more carries. So we have pretty dynamic projections, but we also don't want to necessarily, cannibalize the people that are doing really detailed, like, hey, this team runs to the right a lot more, and the left side of the right side of the line is weak, so he's going to have, a factor of 2. Whatever. I'm not a math guy, obviously. But there's people that want to do that. And that's one of the things that we support from a commercial standpoint, and which we're going to get better at. I mean, you look at baseball with exit velocity and spin rates and all these really crazy stats that, we currently honestly don't have, but we've got player efficiency and we've got some pretty advanced stuff. But there's always going to be new stats. There's always going to be new ways of parsing and slicing and dicing these games. So it's exciting and yeah, there's people that I've got clients that are legit dudes that went to MIT that are just telling you confidence rating on pregame lines, and if they're 57% right or 54% right, they're making a lot of money, and that's what matters to them.
Yeah, have you? So, do you get free access to this optimizer? You ever dip into it and put in a nice little DraftKings lineup, or do you partner with any of those? It doesn't have to be DraftKings or FanDuel, but I know you do Sleeper, but it's not a DFS site. You have any DFS sites that you guys partner with? If you can divulge it, I don't want to,
No, I'm trying to think. So I'm relatively new. So my client list isn't as extensive as my boss. This is one of the founders of the company. Mm-hmm. No, we have some Asian, some Korean DFS operators that use us. We have a lot of international clients as well as North American clients. So not that comes off the top of my head. And it really is more of we really just want to be on the background as your data provider. We don't really want to be doing the calculations for you. We just want to give you clean, accurate, fast, malleable data. That is our focus.
Yeah, well, like I said before, we talked a few months ago, and I played around with the API, and I must say, the API is clean. It's very easy to use, very easy to to digest and really work with the data. So kudos to you guys. And you guys also, do you guys partner with Book It?
Book It is, we know those guys very well. Yeah, we are their data provider. Yep.
Yeah, because their app just launched this past week, and now that's all I use to get my lines now. Is I'm using Book It. It's it's great. Me and Trent, the CEO over there. We talk here and there, and they were on our show last month, and we're part of the same accelerator, so to speak. The first one that he was a part of, and he great guy. Him, Nick, and David. They all came on, and it was great. And we wish them nothing but the greatest of luck. But their app is doing great. I mean, and thanks to sports data too, because they're getting that accurate data.
Yeah, no, it's a great idea. It's an idea. We talk about the fact that gambling's just getting legalized in this market that's forming, and we haven't even scratched the surface of the type of applications that are going to be put out there, because as people use stuff, right, just like there was MySpace way back in the day, and now there's all these niche social media platforms. As people, there still hasn't been that marriage between DFS and gambling that we all know is going to come. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen, and this is what Book It is well on its way to accomplishing, is this social, sphere where you're going to have betting influencers, right? That doesn't exist. You got, a bunch of women with wide brim hats, and high brown boots in the world, but you don't really have a lot of gambling influencers yet. So it's something that's, going to come, and it's great seeing people, like Trent, who really just have a passion for it, attack it with a ferocity.
Yeah. Barry, final one for me. Obviously talking about Book It and sports stat. How big is this going to get? Where do you see it 5 years, 10 years, a decade from now? What is the scope of it?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I wish I had the good researched white paper, McKinsey thinks that it's going to be a $3.5 billion industry, that type of answer, but that is it, right? I mean, you're going to take whatever the black market rake was on any given, Sunday, and there's still people that are going to want to call their bookies. There's some people, that still keep their money under the mattress, right? There's always going to be that slight resistance, but for the most part, it's going to be, 90% of what you have today, plus the people, once the stigma is gone, it's not illegal anymore. Yeah. People will get into it. I say all the time, women are going to gamble. It's not a big market right now, but there's going to be, I've already talked to some companies that are like, hey, this is an underrepresented market. And there's going to be an app that's going to cater to the female gambler, which I think is great, So I wish I had a quantitative answer for you, but huge would be my qualitative answer.
Well said.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 3 states, had it on the ballot. I just wish New York could be one of those states.
Yeah, right. What is that?
I mean, come on, we just get
Cuomo needs to wake up.
So I have a
kick while we're down, and we're never allowed to do anything. But maybe we save money because of it. I don't know. I mean, me and Rick are probably saving money, right? I would say.
I don't think any New Yorker thinks they have a low cost of living, but maybe up in Albany.
No, I'm saying because there's no sports gambling, we're saving the money in that respect.
I think that if there's a way for you to gamble, I'm guessing.
Called the barbershop a couple of blocks down.
And I don't mess around with that type of stuff. I wanna be able to download the DraftKings app and the FanDuel app and go to town. But unfortunately, I can use Book It at least to get all my my social betting stuff out of the way. And I have fantasy, which I use Sleeper. So thank you for that. It really is a great app though. I just changed over from NFL Fantasy. We did that for 10 years, and we just switched over to Sleeper, and it's it's so sleek. It's got a lot of great features. And the data is obviously A+ on there. So thank you, Barry, for coming on. We truly appreciate it. If you want to give a shout out to anything, please do so right now. And if you want to have them find you, you said sportsdata.io and what?
And fantasydata.com.
All right, perfect.
Good luck out there in Philly, Barry. A lot going on down there today.
Yeah, I mean, you're your second Philly fan we had in a row. We had one on Tuesday night. So, yeah, so you were in good company here.
Yeah, well, when we take the NFC East with our robust 5-11-1 record or whatever it's going to be, at least the Giants will have the 5 pick or whatever it is. No, thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate you having me on, and I love playing the field as well. It's a great idea. I mean, it really is. So, looking forward to continue talking to you about that down the road. And
absolutely,
man. If you could give us some tips on data on dating, man, that's the next thing, man.
That's not. I've been out of the game for a long time now.
Sounds good, man. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye.
All
right. Now joining us, our next guest, we are bringing on former MLB star and current associate manager at Scout and Cellar, Scott Hairston. Scott, how are we?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Hey, Scott. Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing great.
Great.
Doing fine. Good to be on.
Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on. It's a pleasure to have you on. Yes. So, pretty much, we start off, every conversation really the same way. Where did your love for sports come from? But you obviously, I know, your grandfather played baseball. Your father played baseball. It was in your blood. So did you just, were you just born with a bat in your hand and a glove?
Pretty much. I mean, I took to the game pretty easy, just being around the clubhouse, and my dad would always bring me to the stadium, me and my 2 older brothers, and I just loved it. I mean, there's pictures of me, I could hardly stand with the bat in my hand. So I've always loved the game. I loved going to the ballpark. That was my favorite place to be in the whole world. And just growing up, watched my dad play, and then watched my brothers play high school ball. I mean, it just all influenced me to be who I am. So I never wanted to be anything else. People ask me all the time, is baseball what you always want to do? I said, yeah, I really, there's not one day in my life where I could have said, well, I want to be a fireman or I want to be a doctor, or I probably would never be a doctor anyway, even if I wanted to, but baseball was always what I wanted to do.
Yeah, that was actually going to be my next question. Was it always baseball what you wanted to do? And so tell us about growing up, the little league, high school. I know you played in college as well. How was all that like? Did you pretty much you picked it up like right away? It was pretty much just born into you.
Yeah, so I grew up. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas, and then we moved to Illinois when I was 4, and so I was raised in Naperville all the way up until I was 18, and then moved out to Arizona here. But Little League, I was always one of the smaller kids on the team, but growing up in a baseball family, again, I always had a bat in my hand. I was able to hold my own. And then once I finally started growing and adding some muscle in high school, then I think I would say I kind of caught up to the competition and passed it a little bit. But I had a great childhood. I was fortunate enough to see my dad play up until I was about 9, and then he retired. And then after he retired, he was around the ballpark a lot because he was selling life insurance to many of the players. And so I got to go with him when he'd have a meeting. I got to sit in the clubhouse and still get on the field and things like that. So I was around the game my whole life. And by the time I graduated high school, my brother made his major league debut in '98. So I think that fueled the fire within me because I saw it firsthand. I mean, when you have an older brother that is able to make it to the big leagues and you're able to go in the clubhouse with him and then be on the field, I mean, that's really drove me to the next level. So fortunate, I was able to play college ball for a couple of years at Central Arizona College, and then I got drafted after my second year there.
Scott, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on. So you come into the league in 2004. What was your first season like? Those first couple of years, like you've been around baseball, obviously, but what did it feel like now that you're a Major League Baseball player? You're coming into your own. What were those first few seasons like?
Yeah, it was actually not as what I expected. I mean, you expect when you get in the big leagues and things to be a certain way. It was a tough year for the organization, the Diamondbacks. 2004, I think that's still the worst year of its franchise. I think we lost 150 or 111 games that year. So being a rookie, being around that atmosphere, it was tough. And so it's just, I look back and yeah, there were some bright spots, but there's a lot of, I guess, negativity in the media and things like that. And then the next 2 years I was back and forth from the big leagues to the minor leagues. And then starting in 2007, that's when I was out options, so they had to keep me there. And then I ended up getting traded to the Padres. So thankfully I went to the Padres, an organization where I could get some playing time and resurrect my career, so to speak.
That's incredible. And who were some of the guys that when you played with during your time in the major leagues that you looked up to that kind of counseled you, that helped you out along the way as you were going on through your career?
So Roberto Alomar was there in 2005.
Wow, okay.
He's a guy that I looked up to big time because he can do everything: hit, run, and of course field. He was a Gold Glove second baseman, and I really looked up to him. And I was fortunate enough to kind of pick his brain because, again, I was his backup. He was playing every day at second, and I was able to go out and field ground balls with him, and he showed me a few things, and it was great. It was a dream, but at the same time, it was pretty intimidating. Just watching him take your ground ball, we'd take turns.
Yeah.
And he'd make it look so easy, and then I'd get up there, and I felt like I was 5 years old. But I didn't last too long at that position anyway. I think I was in the outfield later on that year and never went back to the infield. So I don't feel as bad.
Yeah. So, obviously, you spent a little bit of time in the major leagues, Arizona, San Diego, as you said, a little short stint with the A's over there. And then you also played for my hometown, New York Mets. And, I remember, you there, obviously, I watched intently, and I loved you as a player on the Mets. You hit for a cycle. You had one of your best seasons as far as like home runs go with the Mets. So, but tell us about we're building an app. It's called Play in the Field. It's about a sports fan community. Talk to us about like that community aspect. Like you're moving from team to team. How does that all work? Like how do you navigate that?
Yeah, so that's a good question because it's not a lot of people talk about that, moving from team to team. They just think it's a breeze. You just show up and then play. There's a lot of moving parts that goes on. So fortunately, my wife, she handled everything as far as like finding a place to stay, canceling all the bills that we had in one city, and then hooking up the cable and all that utility stuff in the new home. And for me, I had to make sure I got all my equipment, all the things I needed to play for that next team, and then get used to, I guess, the new team, the organization, the way things are run, new teammates, and introducing yourself to coaches. So it's pretty dynamic, and you really have to be, I guess, ready for something like that to happen. You really can't be fully prepared, but just psychologically, you have to just kind of go with the flow and just keep your mind on just doing your job. So I was traded a few times in mid-season. And so looking back on it, I mean, it's a good experience, but it's not as easy as people may seem because, again, you're on a new team. Sometimes you put too much pressure on yourself to perform, and it takes a little time to get acquainted. So I think I did a pretty good job. I learned things as time went by to get better at, not put too much pressure on myself, try to be somebody that I wasn't on the field. But once I learned that, it was easier.
Okay, great. So everyone always says like, you go to a New York team, it's like the hardest place to play, but it's got to be a lot of fun too. So what was your, feeling when you were over here with the Mets?
Yeah, so I had been in New York several times as a visitor, but again, when you're playing for a New York team, it's pretty intimidating at first because the fans, I mean, there's rich history on both sides, the Mets and the Yankees, and the fans are really up to date on what's going on, and they know probably your stats of where you came from, and they followed your career. They know more about you than they think they do, and
Guilty.
and so, yeah, for that aspect, people really pay attention, and it's good when you're doing good, but it's not so good when you're not doing good.
Yeah.
So they expect. I mean, I guess they it's at a higher level in New York. They expect you to come in and perform, and it's great. My experience was really good. Fortunately enough, I had one of my best years, if not the best year of my career there, so that helps. But I was able to, my second year, kind of enjoy the city more. In my first year, I didn't really get out as much, and my wife was kind of back and forth from New York, Arizona. The second year, we were able to homeschool the boys, and they were out the whole summer, and she was with me the whole time, which was good. So we got to enjoy the city on our off days more. She got to go take the boys down to the city, and we got to just do things that we didn't get to do our first year. So it was a really good experience. And I wanted to come back for a third year, but free agency led me to the Cubs after that. But you guys know how the business is. I guess they didn't want me as much as I wanted to come back. Put it that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Scott, I'm always curious about this. It's a 162 game season. You guys play a lot of games. I mean, tell us how, for the average fan that, they see players play and they're like, oh, whatever, it's, they should be playing better. But how really taxing and grueling is that on a player going through a whole season like that?
Yeah, it's really taxing. I mean, physically and mentally, because I mean, by mid-season, you're starting to get gassed. I mean, from February, so people always forget this, that we start playing games in February in spring training. So you got pretty much from February 21st through October 2nd. I mean, that's usually when the regular season ends, and then you got playoffs. But I didn't play on a lot of playoff teams, but yeah, it's grueling day after day. You have, I think, probably 3 off days in a month on a good month. And baseball is a game that could wear on you mentally as well. I mean, you have times where you're not doing so well, and then you start grinding, and you don't have that break. You don't have the weekend to recover like everybody else does. But yeah, it can just compound. But at the same time, on the other side of it, when things are going good, you kind of like, okay, you don't want it to end. But man, by the end of the season, it wears on you, man. It's a lot of games, a lot of swings, a lot of reps, a lot of practice. Even if you're not an everyday player, you're still out there running your sprints and doing your outfield work and hitting in the cage and things like that. So it's pretty grueling.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about one of those experiences in your career, that home run you hit in the 2007 NLDS. Take us through that moment. What was it like hitting that big homer in that playoff game?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, people ask me all the time what my best moment was. I'd have to say that because, again, that was the year that I got traded over to San Diego, and I wanted to make an impact. And I love San Diego so much that I was telling myself, hey, you have to make an impact. You got to make them want you back next year. I didn't want them to trade me. So it was kind of like a tryout for the last 2.5 months of the season for me. And when I hit that home run, I think that was icing on the cake. I'm like, okay, they got to bring me back next year, right?
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then the fans might say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Big home run and you don't bring them back. So after that moment, I thought that we were going to win that game. Unfortunately, we didn't. So that was very bittersweet for me and my family and the team, of course. But but yeah, I think that's kind of what put me on the map with San Diego, and then that allowed me to play for a couple more years with them, and then the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, you're a bit of a fan favorite over there in San Diego, so you played after the match. You played with the Cubs, and then the Nationals for a year, and then I see because you grew up in Illinois, you're a fan of all the Chicago teams, and then you signed in preseason for with the White Sox, and then was that the decision to go there? Was it more to like end your baseball career with your hometown team, or?
Yeah, it was. You could say that. I mean, I called my agent up and I told him, I said, hey, can you call the White Sox and just see if they have any room there, anything? Because I knew they had some room. They had some prospects that were knocking on the door in the outfield. But I told my agent, hey man, not only do I want to play in Chicago, I think that there's a fit for me. And so he's like, okay, I'll make a phone call. And then they said, all right, well, they're going to sign you, and then they're going to send you to minor league camp and maybe get you into a couple games in big league camp, spring training. So I'm like, okay, fine. So I ended up signing and then reported to camp. And unfortunately, they didn't give me a rep in the big leagues during spring training. But I had a good time, and it didn't end the way I wanted to. I was hoping that I would get called up to the big leagues. I mean, at least play for the AAA team, and then get a chance to get called up.
Yeah.
They didn't even give me that opportunity, which was kind of, people were surprised on the team, because I had a pretty good spring training, and I was preparing for finding a place in Charlotte. That's where the AAA team was. Yeah. And then I told my wife to hold off a little bit because they hadn't told me anything. And 2 days before camp broke out, and that's when they told me that they're going to choose somebody else over me. So.
No, sorry about that. Yeah. No, yeah, of course. I'm curious, obviously I'm a Mets fan, but I don't play professionally, but I know it's just business at the end of the day, but the Cubs and the White Sox are bitter rivals. Like, what goes through your head, like, when of course you're going to the team that signed you, but is there something that some kind of like weird feeling when you put on a Cubs uniform and you grew up like despising the entire team?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It's funny because I have a lot of friends that most of my friends are big Cubs fans, so they got a kick out of it when I signed with the Cubs because they knew I was a Sox fan growing up. Yeah. So they're like, "Where did this come from? How do you feel?" And I said, "Hey, man, by now, it's a team. It's a big league team. I got a pretty good contract, and I'm going to give it the best I can with the Cubs. I know it's probably the last team I would ever dreamed of playing for when I was growing up. But I still had a good time. I mean, it was all in all, it was a good experience. I got to play in Wrigley Field and play for an organization that has a lot of. And if I would have stayed there, I think I would have. I was starting to warm up. The weather was starting to warm up, and then I started to hit a few home runs, and I was getting hot a little bit, and then they traded me, and then went to the Nationals, and then was able to squeak in the lineup here and there with that outfield, which was, once I got traded over there, I'm like, man, I'm never going to play. But yeah, they had Denard Span, Bryce Harper, and Jason Worth out there already. So
yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty good outfit. So you end your career. When did you start enjoying wine? Like, where did the love of wine come? The appreciation of wine come? Because a lot of, like, Tom Seaver owned a vineyard, like Drew Bledsoe in the NFL had vineyard. Like the pro athletes love wine. So when did it start for you?
So really, when I started playing for the Nationals, Ryan Zimmerman would always have like some type of wine on the plane, and he would. I think he would go to Napa a couple times every off season, or like once during the season, he'd get a couple cases, and then so I had some of his wine, and then I really started to get into it because I mean, as time went by, I'm like, man, okay, maybe I should start drinking more wine because it's healthier. And so I went from beer, and I'm still a bourbon guy too. I love bourbon.
Okay.
But I'm like, maybe instead of beer and bourbon, I could go bourbon and wine. And I think that'd be healthier. So then I got into wine and just went to Napa a few times, and then really, really got into it. So, and then now I'm actually marketing clean crafted wine with Scout and Cellar. So that's been a lot of fun. My neighbor down the street, he's the one that got me into it. He invited me over for a wine tasting, and I learned about the company. And as time went by, I did research, and I'm like, man, I want to be a part of this company. And then, so I went online and then just signed up to be a consultant. And I told my wife, this is something that I can do for fun and enjoy it, and I can really back what they're trying to do, which is amazing.
Yeah, I had no idea that there was like this like healthier wine out there. So do you go to like Napa a lot? Do you do a lot of tastings? I mean, like what's kind of like your sort of day to day, your schedule? How does that work?
Yeah, so I mean, I just basically people message me or call me or whatever and just ask what I'm into, and I give recommendations for our selection, and tell some of my friends about it. I do wine tastings. I did one last week for my friend. His wife wanted me to do a tasting with all of her girlfriends, and so I did that. And I have one coming up with a guy I met on LinkedIn. So I do Zoom tastings, and I in-person tastings. I haven't had one since COVID started, unfortunately. Right. But I'm doing all my tastings via Zoom now, so that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, like you say, people call you up, and people contact you. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best route that they should take?
I go to Instagram a lot. I surf there and post some of my content on there. Instagram, so it's Scott Hairston 12 on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn a lot. They can just look me up, and then I have all my information about Scout and Cellar on there. My URL and things like that.
Yeah, I got scoutandcellar.com / Scott Hairston, right?
Yeah, / Scott Hairston. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah, you're also in your post baseball career right now. You met your wife in college, and she played softball, correct?
Yes.
And you guys, you're a hitting instructor, and she also instructs as well, correct?
Yeah, she does. She's an instructor. She hasn't been doing that much of that lately. She's a real estate agent too, and the market out here is crazy. So she's been pretty busy, but I've been busy doing lessons. And I had one today and one yesterday and one on Monday, I believe. So it's been a busy week, and I love sharing what I've learned with the kids. I think that's so important as former players to do.
Yeah.
And just make sure that they at least get an opportunity to learn the proper technique and the way to play the game. Because it's a great game. I think there's a lot of kids that will find life lessons in baseball, and it teaches you a lot, the ups and downs, and fighting for a starting position, and later on they might have to fight for a job, and I think it's great. I mean, it's something that when times are tough, I think that kind of defines the character of an individual. And so when you're going through a slump in baseball, I mean, that's in life, obviously there's good times and bad times with all of us, but I mean, it's up to us how we react to the things that we go through in life.
Oh
yeah, I completely agree. That sports can definitely show you how to weather those tough times. Now you're teaching the kids. I completely agree with you there too. The kids need to have that that education in sports. Unfortunately, I can't teach them, because then they'll be on the wrong track right off the bat. But you mentioned you have a couple of boys. Is there a fourth generation of Hairstons in Major League Baseball to come?
yeah,
Possibly. I would say there's a good chance. My boys love the game. They love playing. My younger son had a game earlier today that I caught, and they're both doing pretty well. One's in 8th grade and one's in 9th grade. So they're getting to that age where just a few years they're going to start getting scouted and maybe choose a college to play for. So I'm just trying the best I can to just give them certain tips and recommendations, not be overshadowing, just really let them grow and just let them be themselves. And I know they're different than I am, and that's the way I treat them. I don't expect them to do anything that I did. And they know that they have a good idea, but it's exciting times and it's good. I'm thankful to have a wife that she played softball all the way through college. She knows the game. She knows the work it takes to play at a higher level. And I'm really thankful for that, because there's some times where she'll take the conversation and talk to them, and they know that they can rely on her for certain things about the game, which is a beautiful thing.
That is great.
That's great. Scott, do you see yourself maybe managing one day, or maybe getting that part of the game?
Maybe. I don't know. I tried. I wouldn't say I tried too hard, but there was a time when I retired. There was a chance for me to go manage the White Sox rookie ball team in Montana, and I declined because I wanted to stay home and be with the kids, because I had just retired and I had missed a lot already at home.
Yeah.
So I declined and said, if something opens up here in Arizona, let me know. And I didn't get the call back. And but right now, I'm just happy where I'm at right now. I'm coaching a 14 and under team, travel team. I'm the assistant coach, so I'm spending a lot of time teaching the youth here and seeing my boys play. I was there at the game today, and I know if I were to take a job to manage professionally, that might take me away from home and experiences that I would regret missing. So I'm not actively looking, but maybe when my sons get older in college or something like that, when they're away from the house, I might look into it again.
All right. And final question for me, the toughest pitcher you had to face in your career in the major leagues?
Oh, man. There's a lot of them. I didn't like sidearm pitchers at all.
Okay.
I didn't like sidearm pitchers at all. But I remember facing Wakefield.
Oh, the knuckleballer.
Yes. And
is it that tough to hit?
Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, it was so difficult. And I had faced probably 2 knuckleball pitchers before that.
Yeah.
And there wasn't good experience. I mean, it's just the ball's moving everywhere. And Wakefield, and there's a rumor, you guys maybe could look into this, but they said in 2009 that was the best that his knuckleball would break. Like, I guess there was rumor going around, oh man, his people are saying in Boston that his knuckleball is moving more than it ever did. So I'm like, great, I got to face this guy the next day. And I went up there, of course. He knew I was probably going to take the first pitch fastball right down the middle, like 75.
Yeah.
And then he breaks out this crazy knuckleballs. And I was fortunate enough to get a jam shot double down the line. I don't know how I hit it, but I hit it. But the other 2 at bats, I think I think I struck out my first time, and then the second time I hit that double. The third time I got it to 3-2. So I was taking all the way. And then fortunate enough, he threw a ball. But earlier in that at bat, my third at bat, I think I was at the count of 2-2. And he threw me this knuckleball that started down the middle, and I go to swing at it. And I don't know what happened. I just shut down. I just freeze, and luckily I freeze, and then I think Veritek slid and blocked it. And I was this close from swinging at it.
Wow.
Like this close from actually swinging at it. So that got it to 3-2, and after that, I said, okay, don't swing. Just and people would probably look at me like, what do you mean don't swing? That's how messed up. I was like, after almost swinging at that pitch on 2-2,
yeah,
what if I swing at another pitch? Well, he saw me and I almost swung at it. What if I swing at another pitch like that and I'm on sports center missing the ball for 10 feet?
Yeah.
I just talked it up and I acted like I was going to swing. Like I was ready. I wasn't going to swing. and he threw another ball. It was in the dirt this time. It looked like it was going to be a strike, and then it just fell out.
Wow.
I just took my walk like I knew what I was doing. I'm glad I didn't face him ever again.
Wow. All right. That's a great story.
The cat's out of the bag on that one.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I read the pitch perfectly. No, I decided I'm just not going to swing. No matter what happens, just not going to swing. That's great. So, I want to ask your thoughts on it. Obviously, you didn't play this year. Obviously, it was crazy, crazy circumstances. But I know you golf, so and I never really understood the point of they need absolute quiet before they hit a golf ball. Yet in baseball, you got 100-mile-an-hour ball coming at your head, and they're screaming and chanting everywhere. But what do you think that was like? Just watching these games with nobody in the stands. How does that affect you as a ball player, or at least your take on it?
Yeah, I think it, and I had this discussion with a couple of my friends and my boys and my wife as well. I think it just reminded you of just playing in backfields in spring training where hardly anybody's there. Mm-hmm. And early in your career, you go to rookie ball and there's 15 people in the stands and you can hear somebody drop their wallet or whatever in the stands or sneeze. You can hear everything. But then as time goes by, you get an A ball and then AA and AAA, the fans increase, and you get the big leagues and you're playing 45,000 people. And then it's just what you're used to. Mm-hmm. So I think these players are kind of like, man, this reminds me of playing when I was a rookie ball. There's hardly anybody here, and it's hard to get up for those games. Especially, I think it impacted the closers.
Right.
The closers are the one that come to the game. They have their music playing. They have the fans standing up, cheering, and then they get pumped up. Their blood's boiling. But it's hard to do that when there's 10 people in the stands and your music's not playing. And they just have to dig deep and just do their thing. So, but you know what? It was exciting to watch still. I loved watching it, and the fan noise that the networks played was huge too. I was kind of worried. I was like, oh, is it going to be cheesy? Kind of like what you see in those sitcoms. They have the
the fake laughter. Yeah.
Is it going to be cheesy and is it going to ruin it? But no, they did a really good job. Like, sometimes I forget, like, oh yeah, that's right. There's nobody there. Like they're playing the fan noise.
Yeah, so, basketball did a great job. Football's doing a great job with the fan noise. One last question before we let you go. So obviously you played for a lot of teams. You made a lot of connections. You made a lot of friends. Who are you closest to now? Post baseball that you played with, or that you played against.
Closest with now probably Ian Desmond.
Okay.
Yeah, I playing during my career in San Diego was Kevin Kuzminoff, third baseman. We really connected. Funny guy. We hung out a lot. He was a great teammate. And then when I went over to DC, Ian and his family, they're great people. My wife and his wife, Chelsea, are good friends. We still keep in touch with them. Just a good quality family. We love them, and we always keep tabs on them. So, I'm fortunate enough to have met Ian and played with him and gotten to know him. I can see that probably could be lifelong friends too.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for coming on, man. We really appreciate this. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. It was fun being on your show. I appreciate it.
Well, listen, you get a home here anytime, whenever you want to come on.
Absolutely. Hey, we got a lot of baseball winter meetings, and my brand new Mets owner. I'm excited. I'm excited for this off season. But we can get your take on winter meetings and hot stove. If you're down for that, we could definitely chat about that. But thank you for coming on, everybody. Obviously Christmas is coming on, holidays, scoutandseller.com/Scott Hairston, or go and follow him at Scott Hairston 12 on Instagram to find out the best wines, and there no sugar added, no additives in the sugar in the wine. So go contact Scott anytime. Scott, thanks again.
Oh,
Thank you, Scott.
guys so much. All right,
All
look
right.
forward to hearing from you guys. So,
All right, take care.
Likewise.
all right, you too.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Man, that's a great guy right there, man.
Yeah.
That is an awesome guy. Man, it's funny. He said that about the knuckleball. Like, you see it on TV.
Yeah.
Right? It looks like a soft pitch, and he's like, it's a great story.
How do you walk when you're facing a knuckleball pitcher? You just
freeze.
you just take a guess beforehand and say, "Am I going to switch?"
But you know what? It goes to
no.
show. It goes to show how
It's mental. Yeah.
It's mental. But how Aaron Boone, when he hit that bomb in 2003, he must have just gone up there saying, "If it's up, I'm swinging," and that's how he hit it out of the park. He caught a flat one and knocked it out. That's great.
Yep. All right. So we don't have much time for much because we're a little over here, but we have to do our parlays.
Yeah.
So so I am opening up the brand new Book It Sports app.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I got the app too. Hold on. Let me log into the app myself.
So here you have
There it
all
is.
your lines. You even have people posting their advice on what lines that they're going to take. You got to go to bookitsports.app. They have the iPhone and Android versions right there on the website. Totally free to join and download. So go and try it out. You have all your betting news, all your betting lines. No need to go to multiple sites to get all your info. And it's powered by sportsdata.io. All right, we saw
Go to
Barry.
Book It Sports.
So,
To our boy.
and they're not paying us anything to talk about.
No,
this,
we're just
so
plugging it.
we're just happy that something like this exists. So we have quite a few interesting games. Let's see here. I want to look at this game. My wonderful Los Angeles Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders.
Okay.
The Chargers are home and favored by 1 against the Raiders. That's going to be a fun game. Let's just say that. It's going to be fun. I love Justin Herbert and everything, but I think the coach takes it, and it's Gruden taking that game in Los Angeles. I think the Vegas Raiders win that game.
This is a tough one for me because I love the way Herbert's playing.
Yes, I do too. But they also did trade a cornerback too. Like they traded Desmond King. Like, are they really trying to win now?
Yeah, exactly. Are they selling? So I'm with you on that. The Raiders are still in the hunt for the playoffs. So I'll take the Raiders.
Yeah,
I'll take the Raiders are going to +1. The Raiders +1 in that game. I think
that's
not
pretty
right,
much a
but-
pick 'em.
Yeah, it's a pick 'em, but I'm with you. Raiders +1.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun game though.
Yeah,
it'll be. I'm sure it'll be a back and forth, high scoring affair, and it's going to be a fun one to watch. You go with the next one.
The next game that interests me is going to be an interesting one here because it takes place in the NFC, the NFC West, because you got the great Kyler Murray against just coming off his first victory against the Los Angeles Rams, Tua Tagovailoa. And the Cardinals are playing well right now. Miami's coming into their own. The Cardinals are favored. They're -4 at home. So what are you thinking? I'm rolling with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think Tua's second week. They got some more film on him. It's a travel game too, so Miami's got to go to the West Coast. And the way DeAndre Hopkins is playing right now, I'm taking the Cardinals -4.
Yeah, I have to agree. Kyler Murray is, he's a great player, and Tua's, traveling, and it's his second game. And let's be real, like he did not beat the Rams. Like that.
No, the
defense,
Miami
that
defense
was but he didn't lose the game either.
No,
like he did what he had to do. He didn't have to do much in that game. This one, he's going to have to do something. And I think he's just going to do a little bit less than. We have somebody that's picking Miami.
Oh, who was that?
With the points. It's they don't show unless they.
I got it. Miami with the points. That's an interesting call right there. I mean, that's a lot of faith in Tua, man. I mean, and can Miami? Listen. Listen. Kyler Murray's smiling when he sees DeAndre Hopkins one-on-one with a corner. I mean, he's smiling. I mean, he's just he's grinning ear to ear. I mean, it's incredible. And it's what they're doing down there in Arizona is great. I mean, they moved on from Josh Rosen. And they got Kingsbury, and they're doing things. So I like Arizona -4 in this game.
Yeah. So let's see. We got one more, and then we got our locals, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one, Seattle Buffalo. We have to attack that, right?
Okay.
I mean, because they, the two playoff contenders, the two early season MVP favorites, but Josh Allen has probably he's fallen out of that.
There's only one MVP favorite on that field.
In Buffalo, and the Seattle Seahawks are favored by 3. So Buffalo are home dogs. The Seahawks defense is atrocious.
Yes,
their offense is great, but
defense is it.
I do not think that the travel will do them well, and I think the Buffalo Bills will eke this out.
Here's the thing, man. DK Metcalf is quietly.
He's a beast. I know.
He's a beast. He's becoming the best wide receiver in football. Tyler Lockett's on that team too.
But I have nothing against their offense. It's their defense that is.
Will they be able to stop Josh Allen on the road? I'm gonna take Seattle. Stephon Diggs. I mean, is Jamal Adams playing? Is Jamal Adams playing this game?
I do not know.
I'm gonna take. Look, I'm gonna ride a hot hand here. I like Seattle. I'm gonna go with Russell Wilson. I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take him as the favorites here, -3 on the road. Call me crazy, but
I think if Buffalo doesn't win, it's gonna be a push. Or they're gonna take it with like the 1 or 2 point loss or something, and they're still gonna cover with the 3.
All right,
that's what I feel. I think it's gonna be a very close game, over a 55. I don't know which way I would go on that though. All right. So let's go
with our
New York Giants versus the Washington Football Team. The New York Giants almost beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week.
Yeah.
But fell short because of
Daniel Jones
questionable calls.
Yeah.
And obviously Daniel Jones needs a lot of help here. But the Giants are getting 2.5 points in Washington. Is Kyle Allen still the quarterback over there?
I believe so. I believe he is.
I think the Giants are going to take this one.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I mean, look, the Giants have had some bad losses. I mean, they should have won the game last week. Here's the question, man. Will Daniel Jones throw 1 pick or 2 picks? Like, eventually the Giants are he's gonna play a game where
the Washington defense is pretty stout.
They're pretty stout, man. That defensive line
they're gonna go in and they're gonna sack him a few times.
Yeah, so he can't get reckless with the ball. So, but I think
Giants defense. I like the Giants defense.
Yeah, but I think this is one of those games where Evan Ingram makes a play, Darius Slayton makes a play. You know what I mean? They Daniel Jones will do something with his legs. I think they'll score some points. Just the question is, if he doesn't turn the ball over, they're going to win. So, and he's due for one of those games where he just has a clean game. So I'm going to go with I'm with you. I'm going to go with the Giants +2.5 on the road here.
Yeah.
And then the final one.
Yep, we leave the best for last, everybody.
Because we know how much you guys love this show.
The New England Patriots are coming to MetLife Stadium to
on a
take
Monday
on
night.
The winless New York Jets.
On a Monday night.
The Jets are so bad that Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. The Patriots are so bad that they're only favored by 7 against the New York Jets.
Only a touchdown.
Okay, they're only favored by a touchdown. The Chiefs were favored by 20 last week?
Yeah.
That's right about where the Patriots should be. How they have like some kind of a team. But Cam Newton with his fumbling issues and his interception issues, it's going to be very radical. Very radical. But I think the Jets have a chance at beating the New England Patriots this Monday.
So you're going with the Jets.
I think if they're going to win any game this year, this is that game.
All right. Let me bring you back to reality, my friend. Okay. Let me bring you back. I'm going to remind you who you're rooting for.
Who said rooting?
Okay. I'm going to remind you who you're picking.
I already told you. My team, the Los Angeles Chargers, are going to lose to the Raiders.
I don't care if they put a quarterback out there who's a fifth stringer. I don't care if they bring off a kid from a high school team. Okay. The New York Jets are not going to win this game. Couple reasons. One, the Patriots have the better coach.
Oh, well, yes, I will give you that.
They'll be better coached.
Yes.
2, they're the Jets. They always lose games like these. And this team is done. Stick a fork in them. They're not winning any more games. They're going to do what they do every
anymore.
Yeah, right. The first half, they're going to move the ball up and down. Denzel Mims a couple of catches, LaMichael Pirine. And then in the second half, Adam Gase is going to be like, oh, I got Frank Gore. Let me give him the ball 15 times. Oh, you know what? Let me throw bubble screens all the time. Oh, let me throw, 5-yard hitch routes in front of the sticks. This team is just incompetently coached. This team just once they get down, it's like it's over. Their defense plays well, but I don't look. The Jets are going 0-9, and the question you have to ask yourself is, what is Joe Douglas seeing in this coach that he's saying, I believe in Adam Gase? I mean, what is there to believe in, man? Like, what are you looking at? What are you watching? Like, what? Like, you're what? No. Jets are, I hate to say it, they're going to lose 0-9 going to the bye week. And it looks like Adam Gase is going to finish out the rest of the year because I don't think they're going to fire him after what Douglas said. So, but Jets are done. Yes. Thank you, Matt. LaMichael Pirine is the future. And he's a Florida Gator. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, no wonder he's got some.
That's why he's a Florida Gator.
Something to chop in there. He's repping his hometown boys. All right.
There you go.
We see you, Matt.
We got you, Matt.
Over there. And the picture, the podcast picture looks great, Matt. On that on your profile picture there. So we got to get ours done soon. But
yes.
Obviously, if the Jets win, it's not because of their coach.
No, God, no.
Just because, I don't know. I mean, every dog has to have their, broken clock's right twice a day, right? I mean, I guess maybe the Jets are worse than a broken clock in your eyes, huh, Rick?
Yeah, man. I don't know what this. It's just so demoralizing, Mike. I mean, it really, it just ruins your Sunday, man. Like, I get so pumped up to watch football on Sundays. I mean, I got my chips, I got my Diet Coke. And then,
don't turn on CBS.
But it's like,
I'm put on Red Zone. You'll never see the Jets again.
I can't. I got to watch my team. And 1 o'clock comes around, and by 1:45, 2 o'clock, I'm like, great, we got a great first half.
Well, the good news is you're going to enjoy Sunday 100% because the Jets will not be playing on Sunday.
I'm sorry. Monday night.
Monday night, just go to sleep early. Don't even turn on the TV.
I can't do it. I can't. And then what'll happen Tuesday morning, I'll walk into the office. I'll be upset. I'll get mad. I'll go to Dunkin' Donuts and shove a couple of donuts down my mouth. I mean, it'll just be drink a full calorie soda. I mean, it'll just be one of those.
Is the donut, a metaphor for the amount of wins that the Jets have?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pretty much.
Right.
I'll get a chocolate glazed, buy a Diet Coke, and sulk in my office all day. Meanwhile, my buddy who sits in the office next to me is a Steelers fan, and he's going on about they're 8-0. Tomlin's a great coach. They're going to the Super Bowl, and here I am, a miserable human being. It's awful, man. It's been going on for 8 Sundays in a row. It's terrible.
Do the Steelers lose their first game, or the Jets win their first game first?
Steelers lose their first game first. Come on, the Jets going on.
You know what's going 16. Yeah,
you know what's going to happen. They're going 0-16.
I think if they have a chance to win a game, it's this week. Under the lights, prime time at Life Stadium, Monday night.
Have you not forgotten what has happened to the Jets in prime time against the Patriots? The ghost game last year, the butt fumble.
Same Patriots.
It doesn't matter. You had the butt fumble. It's never ending, man. You know what? I'm aggravated right now. Anyway, my blood pressure's going up. But yeah, so that's what it is, folks. I mean, those are our picks for the week.
We got Giants fan, and he feels what you're feeling. Yeah,
no, you don't, because you've won 2 Super Bowls in the last decade. You've had your moments. You had Eli going down the field in Arizona against the Patriots. You had the Mario Manningham catch in 11 against the Patriots. You've beat them twice in big time games. You have no idea how I feel. All right. But yeah,
I mean, you know, you're not wrong. It's definitely not the same.
Yeah,
you know,
you have 5 Super Bowls in the last 20 years. I haven't in my lifetime. I have not sniffed.
Rick's eating a lot of donuts. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. They're going right here, right there.
Oh man! All right. So,
with that rant,
we're gonna sign off for now. So we can lower Rick's blood pressure a little bit, so he can make it to Sunday.
You're gonna find me keeled over on my desk over here.
But yeah, another great shows lined up for you guys next week. And again, welcome everyone from LinkedIn. It's a pleasure to stream over here on LinkedIn Live now.
Absolutely.
And thank you for all your support out there. And we will see you next Tuesday night, 9:00 p.m. Eastern time, after the Jets get their first win the night before.
Don't start. Enjoy your night, everybody. Enjoy the games. Hopefully, we'll have a president picked out by the time this weekend's over. We'll see, and we'll see you next Tuesday.